Dostoyevsky's House of the Living by Lawrence Mack in Texas Hall. Read by Ian Wilson. I was in prison, and you came to see me. Matthew 25:34. Dostoyevsky is probably the best writer of narratives of redemption, probably because of his time in prison. I first read The House of the Dead along with other of his novels some years ago. Recently I was guilted by Father Ron, I did not want to go, into volunteering at prison, which has proven to be one of the few experiences in my life in which I felt, one cannot know, of course, that I was doing exactly what God expected of me. This volunteer work with the chaplain, a sturdy Baptist, and with wise and experienced volunteers and mentors, especially Al and George, led me to reread Dostoyevsky's semi-autobiographical prison novel. As a young man, Dostoyevsky was drawn into Petrushevsky's circle in St. Petersburg, which may or may not have planned the violent overthrow of the government. The group was arrested in 1849, held in the Peter and Paul Fortress in St. Petersburg, tried and sentenced to death. The Tsar's pardon of the conspirators, even as they faced a firing squad, is well known. Dostoyevsky spent 4 years in a Siberian prison camp and then a term as a soldier until he was permitted to return to St. Petersburg in 1859. The parallels between the prison unit I visit and Dostoyevsky's prison are remarkable, even to the general layout of the prison and to the diverse characters and nationalities of the inmates. In the local prison, though, prisoners are respected and treated with dignity in preparation for their return to freedom. Successful completion of anger management and other counseling programs are mandatory for release. But please note that I know almost nothing about penology or psychology, and my own 2 hours each week visiting the lads are as nothing. I am neither a Pollyanna nor a Darwinian, but only a sympathetic, naive observer. First, about that famous cable TV. There are, in fact, 2 of them, rather small, high up on a wall in the common area, and remotely controlled by the duty officer. No prisoner has much time for watching TV, though, for everyone has a work detail, and might be dozing on his bunk in the early evening, but that's because his work assignment begins in the kitchen at 0300, and he must also attend classes. There are no private rooms. All live in dorms that very much resemble any recruit training barracks in the long ago. All live in dorms that very much resemble my recruit training barracks in the long ago. Prisons do not exist so that visitors like me can write sappy articles about what I learned in prison, because prison is about the prisoner, about helping him learn about himself and his place in civilization. Dostoyevsky would say that learning is a part of a man's redemption on either side of the shiny wire. But I have learned this: the difference between a man behind the wire and a man outside the wire is often only that one man is behind the wire and the other is outside the wire. Okay, that's a bit precious, but reality is that there are far more criminals on the outside than on the inside. Another reality in the unit that I visit is the diversity of individuals with regard to faith traditions, race, intellect, accomplishments, education, and skills. I have met once wealthy businessmen who admitted that their success in life led them to a feeling of arrogance and immunity. I have met 20-somethings who did stupid stuff because popular culture and their local subcultures led them to existential despair. The CPA is in a bunk next to the low-level drug dealer, someone conversant in 7 languages, and who holds a master's degree is bunked next to the kid who helped himself to someone else's car on a dare. In his autobiography, Surprised by Joy, C.S. Lewis wrote that in the army, every few days one seemed to meet a scholar, an original, a poet, a cheery buffoon, or at least a man of good will. And so it is in prison, as it is in the army or on the job. My prison is a transit unit, with folks coming and going constantly, either on their way to a long-term sentence at one of the large units, serving a short sentence here, or happily cycling through the various programs and consultations in preparation for release. I regret that I seldom get to know anyone very well, but in the context of the mission, that's probably for the best. Unfortunately, all prison visits in my state are now forbidden during the coronavirus time. I do miss the guys, and I hope I have been of some small service to their rehabilitation. I pray for them daily and hope to be permitted to resume working with them soon.